you doing? My name is Frankie Fish, okay? Now, earlier Joseph was talking about, about some people coming up here and giving their perspective from the Christmas story. Well, guess what? It's my perspective now. Now, like I said, my name's Frankie Fish, okay? And I kind of get a bad rap sometimes on Christmas. You see, I was the innkeeper. And everybody always comes up to me and says, hey, you didn't let them in the stable. It's like, hey, I had no room, But here's the reason why I had no room. So let me give you a little bit of history on this thing, okay? Capiche? Okay. So here's the deal. This family, we had this big home. Now everybody says it's an inn, but really, let's be honest, it's just like a big house with some extra rooms, okay? My family built it years ago for celebration, bar mitzvahs, stuff like that. And so, we had these two boys. And they ended up getting a football scholarship to Bethlehem U. Okay? So they go out. So it's just me and my wife. God love her, So we sitting there. Now, you fellas know, once the kids have been out of the house and it's just you and your wife, you'll go crazy just sitting there staring at each other. Am I right? Right? Okay. So, we comes up with an idea. I said, hey, babe, I got the plan. Why don't we, charge people to come over and stay and sleep and get a good night meal as they're traveling through? My wife, God love her, she said, hey, that's a good idea. We'll call it Holiday Inn. I said, babe, seriously, Holiday Inn, name like that, it's never going to take over for a hotel chain. Am I right? That's just crazy. So many things these women think of, just crazy, So we come up with this thing. We have people coming through ever so often, they stay for a day or so, and then they leave. Things are going pretty good. We're not making a lot of money, but hey, we're doing all right, And so one day, I don't know what was going on. Some type of tax collection, convention, I don't know what it was. But I'll tell you this much. When I found out they were government people, I charged them double. Know what I'm saying? So these tax people, right, they show up. Okay? And it's like people line up out, crazy, And so I got people sleeping in the kitchen. I got people laying down in the hallway, in the bedrooms, Well, finally at midnight or so, I said, hey, enough's enough, no more room. Well, 2 o'clock in the morning or so, someone shows up. I crawl over all the bodies. I get to the door. He's like, I need a room. I was like, hey, buddy, I ain't got no room, He's like, I need a place to stay. I say, hey, I got no room. What do you want me to do? So, being the kind person I am, I slammed the door in his face. Hey, I told him twice, So I call over all the bodies. I get back to my spot. Boom, boom, boom. Go back to the door. Same dude. I say, hey, buddy, I just told you. Got no room, He's like, but, sir, I got to have a place to stay. He's like, hey, I got nothing for you. I shut the door in his face again. Third time, boom, boom, boom. Now I'm losing my charm. You know what I mean? So I call over the bodies, right? I get to the door. I say, hey, buddy, I got no room at the inn. And he looks at me and he's like, sir, my name is Joseph. And Joseph was a good-looking fella, if I don't mind saying so myself. Good-looking dude, kind of a big guy. He says, this is my wife, little Mary. Now, let me just say something up front. There's nothing little about Mary. I don't mean that in a bad way, but it looked like she's about to pop any minute. You know what I'm saying? So I looks at him. I said, hey, you twos, I got nothing for you. I got no place for you to stay. Well, my wife, God love her, she comes up to me and how wives sometimes have that, little way of motivating you, usually like an elbow to the side. Yeah, well, guess what? She motivated me. So she gives me a little reminder. She's like, what about the manger? I said, babe, seriously? You can't put people in a manger. We got animals out there. Two reasons. We got animals out there, and two, we got animals out there doing the number two. You know what I mean? I said, you can't put people out there. That's just crazy talk. So my wife says, but look, we'll put this a little stable out there. We'll get a place for them to stay. They can't go on any further. I was like, okay, but I'm charging them double. My wife said, no, you're not. So I didn't charge them. Hey, you got a wife, happy life. Am I right? Okay. So Oh, Bright Wise Man said that one time. I don't know. Anyway, so we get this place all, situated, make it look good and everything. We get them there, and I'm talking to Joseph. And Joseph's telling me like this wild story. Like, he's the dad, but he ain't the dad. I'm kind of like, but you kind of tell that he's never been a father before because he was all nervous and stuff like that. You know how them dads are. But he starts talking about how this is going to be a special kid. And I'm thinking, hey, buddy, look, I had 2 boys. They both special. You know what I'm saying? Every dad thinks their kids are special. Okay? But he keeps telling me, hey, this is a special kid. Talking about how he's not the dad, but there is a dad and all this crazy talk. Well, we get to talking a little bit more about it. And it starts dawning on me. Wait a minute. Could this be what that one prophet dude said like 500 years ago? But I ain't too sure. So some time goes by, and the next thing you know, bada bing, bada boom, there's a baby. That's how it happens, So this baby's born, and everybody's like, wrapping up, and there are people coming from like all over the place. They're worshiping him, they're praising him, doing all this stuff. And I'm thinking, could this really be? Could this be a special kid, And so people were like, they're worshiping, they're praising him, and I get to talking to some fellas, Not those kind of fellas, some regular fellas. We're talking to some fellas, and it dawns on us. This kid is the Savior. He's the Lord of all the lords, the King of all kings. And this little baby, this Savior that's been brought to the world, was born in my stable, in my manger. I was there. I got to see firsthand God's love of how he sent his son to be born. And it happened in my neighborhood. It happened at my house. I was there. I was there that night that love came down.